So in just a minute, I'm going to get out my phone and just in real time, I'm going to play back and watch with you a video, specifically a Snapchat that I had sent to my female friend last night, letting her know that she snores. You might be like, why? Why are you doing this? And the truth is that it's actually very disingenuous for me to not have done this. And frankly, a number of weeks have passed by since this particular night where I realized that this girl had resistance in her upper airway, just as evidenced by the snoring, which may be cute, but it's not healthy. The truth is that snoring is a sign of disordered breathing, and it's something that I'm extremely passionate about, not least because it's something that I've personally dealt with and contended with the consequences of for a number of years. My immune system for the first over 20 years of my life was incredibly overclocked, and one of the downstream consequences of that was just having this chronic nasal congestion. And what that necessitated for me as a compensatory mechanism was just mouth breathing. And of course, hindsight's 2020. I didn't realize how insidious mouth breathing was, the sympathetic tone that it gives rise to, just not being able to have this rest and digest physiology while sleeping. So the truth is that something that is very authentic for me would be to apprise someone of snoring. Because the truth is that we don't know what we don't know, and just by definition, between a quarter and 1/3 of our life, by being asleep, there's no way that we could possibly be aware of how we're breathing during that time. So this is just a quintessential blind spot that frankly we all have, and unless you have a partner or some sort of sleep technology, something that can actually assess your sleep quality and the potential snoring that is giving rise to, then you really are navigating life like you're literally driving around with this colossal blind spot in your rearview mirror. And the truth is that in personal development, the idea is to illuminate those blind spots by garnering insight, by garnering feedback from people in your periphery. But this is a give and take. You also want to be able to give feedback and give it in a way that it actually lands. So in just a minute, as I said, I'm going to be showing you just in real time an actual video that I recorded for this girl, letting her know about this. And we can break down the video, assess it, and talk about some of the things that I did right, some of the things that I could do better. Because this is going to be a feedback sandwich, which I tried to incorporate in the Snapchat video, and we'll also go meta and see that everything can be critiqued in a really honest way. Now, the most important aspect of giving feedback is where it's coming from. So it's not so much about the content that you curate, but the structure that houses that. In other words, the person that you're giving feedback to knows that it's just really warm, really heartfelt. It's coming from the right place, right? Like, I'm not taking time out of my day to shoot this video to deem myself holier than thou and say, naughty, 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 you are snoring, you're a bad person. It's like, no, I'm doing this because I really care about you. And I genuinely want the best for you. And I don't want you to have to contend with the same consequences of disordered breathing that I had to deal with, just becoming a shell of the person that I am today. I want you to get the most deep, restorative sleep as possible so that you can be friggin' enthusiastic about life, man. You can be energetic, you can be passionate, and you can be high vibe. So you see the difference there between just that context, that structure that I just exemplified. You can see that it's coming from a really good place. Now, let's see if that bears out in the video. Let's see how well I did, and I believe she even responded, so we can see what sort of response that elicited. Now, to preface this briefly, this is a girl that I don't even know that well, to be honest. We are recent acquaintances. We hung out a few times. I ended up moving halfway around the world, so I'm on Australian Eastern Standard Time as opposed to Eastern Standard Time right now. So a little bit of a time gap between when I sent the video and when presumably she got it. But this was just a night that we happened to be hanging out, and I, for one, am really notorious for just zonking out really quickly. So this was sufficiently late at night that the both of us at some point in time had fallen asleep, and I had just noticed resistance in her upper airway. She was mouth breathing and snoring as a consequence. And the truth is that I never got around to telling her this, and I actually feel really bad about that because it may be the first time that she has been apprised of this information. Who else is going to tell her? And tell her with the sincerity, the passion, and the enthusiasm to hopefully encourage her to investigate that deeper. So I've got the video on my phone, and we'll just watch that together in real time here. And again, we'll break this down and go meta. Because clearly there are things that I could have done better here. All right, here we go. Hey Tegan, how's it going? Greetings from the land down under. I hope you're doing well. I hope you and your mom finally started to watch PLL together. I know you guys, or you specifically, had been looking forward to that. So I've got something that I want to tell you, but only because I care about you and you're honestly really sweet, and I feel like you'd be really receptive to this. Okay, so we're 34 seconds in. I am notorious for being a little bit long-winded, but what I would say is that I think this is a really good intro. I think this is a really good, so far, start of a feedback sandwich where I'm making it win-win. I'm collaborating. I'm not competing. I'm not rendering myself some supreme arbiter or authority or judge. I'm relating to her, and I'm making her feel like she's on my team. Like my sister, who I've been trying to get on board with this whole sleep apnea thing for a while. I think it's kind of finally growing on her, but just one quick thing I wanted to mention, because frankly, I would feel bad, really bad, if I didn't. As bad as, frankly, on the airplane over from Vancouver, there was this guy who was just snoring, right? It was just like this really long flight, and I'm still kicking myself for not having mentioned something, because snoring is a sign of struggle for breathing. And even though it was like the cutest snoring I've ever heard in my life, the night that we were hanging out, I think both of us probably passed out at some point, right? Not bad. I'm 1:21 in. I think this is a little bit too long-winded, if I'm being honest. One thing that I liked is that I prefaced, earlier in the video by saying you're sweet and probably going to be very receptive to this. Just meeting her halfway and sort of, really leaning into that feedback sandwich. One thing is I made it a little bit too much about me. God, I could have done this better. I made it a little bit too much about me by saying that I would feel bad. I would be kicking myself, and then the anecdote from the airport and the guy that was snoring on the airplane. I need to make this more about her. I even mentioned my sister. I need to focus on Tegan. I need to focus on my friend. That's one thing that I could do a lot better. I could have done a lot better. I will do a lot better in the future. And I could just notice some resistance in your airway with breathing. And I just wanted to make you aware of that, because that's something that I've struggled with immensely in my life, as has my sister. Okay, not bad, not bad. I'll pull up the Snapchat here in just a minute and see how she had responded. I actually don't know how well received that was. I think that was pretty good overall, a little bit too long-winded, making it a little bit too much about myself. And I think the ending could have been, I think that was the weakest part, was the ending. I think I could have sandwiched that a lot better and made it more about her than about myself. But I like the fact that I mentioned just very authentically the fact that I've struggled with this immensely, and that is giving rise to the video that I'm making for you because I genuinely care. And again, I don't want you to have to deal with the nonsense that I did. Really nice, really nice. I would give myself maybe a B minus. Definitely room for improvement, but one important thing is you can probably see in real time now, right? As I'm critiquing myself, I'm seeing the growth mindset and not the fixed mindset. I'm not beating myself up. I still love myself. I'm still, frankly, pleased that I at least made the video. I really would feel bad if I didn't. Like, this has just been in the back of my mind for a long time, and you probably have some version of that, if we're being honest. There's probably some crucial conversation. There's probably something difficult that you've needed to ostensibly communicate to somebody in your periphery, maybe a family member, maybe a friend, maybe a significant other, maybe even a stranger. I literally feel bad because I didn't communicate to the man behind me that he had disordered breathing. And of course, nobody else did. The really hot Indian mom who had like these young daughters across the way on the plane. Maybe that's why I was too distracted by these Indian girls. No. See, that mom isn't going to tell this gentleman that he has disordered breathing. The man sitting to my right, directly in front of this man, is not going to say anything. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, of all people. So who else is going to say something? You have to realize that nobody is coming to save you or others, and you have to put the onus on yourself to actually take action. And I'm still kicking myself for not having done that. So let's pull up my Snapchat and see what she said. I mean, for better or worse, let's just see what she said. All right, 7 hours ago. So I sent like this really long video here. Yeah, it ended up being, that was one thing I was curious, was like, how long of a Snapchat video can I send? It ended up being like 9 separate videos. I'm not super well versed in Snapchat, but she said, oh, okay, I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you for letting me know, exclamation point. How is your trip going? Oh, God, again, this is such a sweet girl. She's a very sweet girl, and you can see like with the exclamation point there, she's pretty bought in. Like, I'm very pleased with that response. And now what that does is, because I've put out my hand, she can now meet me halfway. I'm not just like, boom, 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 jab, jab, uppercut. I'm not battling with Tegan. I love her. I love her and I want the best for her. So what I'm doing is I'm taking her by the hand and we're just gonna walk past the smoking wreckage of mouth breathing. I'm gonna tell her about nasal breathing today. I'm gonna tell her about 3M micropore tape and the myriad benefits of that. Again, this is all very authentic. I've been trying to get my sister on board with this for a number of years. Same with my parents. I think of all people, my grandma. I was recently at her apartment before I vacated the United States, and she actually had micropore tape by her bedside, on her nightstand. I love it. So again, if you have a crucial conversation, something that you know you need to communicate, something that's difficult to communicate, realize that it's about where it's coming from and that the verbiage doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, if we're being perfectly honest, was that really that well done? I probably could have re-recorded that a couple of times and made it even better. But because it's just so authentic to me, authenticity will shine through the cloud of your self-perceived imperfection. I love you very much. Don't be afraid to have the difficult conversations in your life. You are going to feel a lot better. It's going to be a win-win. Tegan ostensibly had no idea about this. Now she's a little bit interested. She's bought in. She's putting the ball back in my court. How is your trip going? Right? It's a win-win. We're on the same team. We're not competing. We're collaborating. I love you very much. Drop a comment down below, my friend. Like and subscribe for more content like this. And until next time, find your freedom. Peace.